We met one gentleman who was a Raytheon employee. He came to one of our town halls. He was going to learn how to write a religious exemption, and he decided a couple of weeks later he was just going to go ahead and get the COVID vaccine. And 2 weeks later, he passed away in the hospital. Another gentleman who worked for the Department of Defense that I met was being threatened to lose his job if he didn't get the jab from both the DOD, and he was also a National Guard member. So against his wife's begging and pleading, he went and he got the COVID vaccine, and he went and got the booster, and now he has permanent heart problems from that. So you can make your own conclusions, but I saw story after story after story, and I think now there's a lot of evidence coming out about some of the side effects that we weren't told about directly on the CDC website. So with that being said, I really did make a promise to a lot of these federal employees that I met a year ago that I would come up here and make sure that I would protect them as Arizona citizens from any further overreach from the federal government. Being emergency authorized especially, it should never have been mandated for these employees. I do appreciate the chance to be able to be the voice for this individual. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Rachel Jones for giving me a voice and providing me the opportunity to share the experiences I have been subjected to for well over a year now. I hope you all understand this letter illustrates just one of your constituents' experiences. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of us. We exist and we come from all walks of life, spanning all religions, colors, creeds, ethnicities, genders, ages, educations, and political affiliation. I pray that my words do not fall on deaf ears, as I feel they have since the beginning of this mandate. I also pray that the chamber you all find yourselves in today has not been completely devoid of common sense and humanity. I have spent my entire adult life in the service of our great nation. 17 years of military service in the Air Force, 4 years active duty, and 13 years in the reserves. I am currently stationed right here at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. I am also an agent with Customs and Border Protection, nearing 16 years of federal service. I took an oath in both roles and swore to God to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the principles therein, as did you all. Over the duration of this mandate, or rather the government tyranny which has been unleashed on United States citizens, I was denied a religious accommodation from the Air Force Reserves. Regardless of the fact that my unit chaplain confirmed my religious beliefs, and it was validated by my immediate commander, my wing commander, and my numbered Air Force commander, amazingly enough, just 2 months after submitting my religious accommodation request, I was told that my request had already found its way to Air Force Reserve Commander and subsequently denied by our 4-star general. This was a tremendous shock to me, as I have been in the military for 17 years, and never in my career have I been witness to any actions taken by the military that would have led me to believe they possess the skills or even the motivation to process an individual's personal requests with that type of attention and tenacity, especially considering the hundreds, if not thousands, of other requests that had been submitted by other members. This was truly an amazing feat, a first for the Air Force Reserves, and yet embarrassingly detrimental. It was obvious that my confirmed religious beliefs and my request was rubber stamped, denied, and not even given a moment of consideration. I followed all procedures, however, but in the end I was denied my religious accommodation request. Because of this medical martial law, I, like many others, had to endure months of uncertainty, stress, and anxiety until its conclusion, coupled with the ostracizing, harassment, and discrimination that went along with being identified as a member that was seeking a religious accommodation and not vaccinated. I was eventually relieved of my position, given a letter of reprimand, and put in an unfavorable information folder. With just 3 years from being retirement eligible, I was going to be placed in a non-participating status where I would slowly be forgotten about and eventually separated from military service as if I never existed. I was facing the loss of my military career and a second source of income for my family. The danger was imminent. It was unsettling to think that I spent the last 17 years of my life ready to defend the constitutional rights of our citizens, and never once did I realize that I somehow gave up my own constitutional rights in the process. But that is the situation I found myself in. At the same time as the above events were unfolding for my military career, they were also coming to a head on the civilian side for my federal career. Now my primary job and source of income was being threatened. Once again, I had to submit a religious accommodation request. Not long after I submitted my first request, we were directed that we had to submit a second request. Apparently, the agency had to readjust their procedures for handling religious accommodation requests for the COVID-19 experimental drug. We were directed to submit again or face administrative punishment and possible termination. And just for a little insight, in my 16 years of federal service with this agency, never once had I been forced to take any vaccine. In all my years as an employee with Customs and Border Protection, I have never been told I have to receive a vaccine for my current position in order to perform my daily duties. Over the following months, we were ordered to submit our private medical information to a third-party agency. Who were these people? I had no clue. Who would have my information? Again, I had no idea. But again, it was either comply or face possible termination. The threats continued. Those of us that remained clean from this experimental new drug were immediately discriminated against with forced testing and masking. Punishment once again was threatened, comply or face administrative punishment and possible termination. As the months went on, I found myself feeling less like an American citizen and more like a character out of a Tom Clancy novel subjected to communist rule in the Soviet Union, the new United States of America, I feared. So here I am, 42 years old, on the verge of losing 2 careers, losing 2 retirements, 2 positions I obtained through a lifetime of hard work and dedication, never once being reprimanded in the slightest in either career, yet here I am about to lose everything because I want medical freedom, and dare I say it, religious freedom. Freedom from the government forcing me to compromise my religious beliefs, my moral principles, and my conscience, and for what? I have only ever received awards, medals, and commendations for my service spanning 17 years in both military and federal service. Apparently, it all means nothing because here I am, being treated like trash, less than trash, about to lose my livelihood because I requested a religious accommodation, because I expected medical freedom, maybe even personal freedom, freedom from government intrusion of my medical decisions, freedom of personal choice. Does the government know me better than I know myself? Do you all in this chamber know anyone better than they know themselves? The answer is obvious. Because of this government tyranny, I have lived the last 14 months in constant fear, anxiety, stress, depression, and uncertainty. This has been the reality for over 14 months, and it continues. There are no words that can totally express the complete torment that I and my fellow citizens have been subjected to. Will I have a job tomorrow? I don't know. Will I be able to provide for my family? I don't know. How will I pay for my home and my essential bills? Again, I don't know. I, like everyone else, have been presented with 2 choices. Do what the government tells me to do, in complete contradiction to my religious, moral, and conscience beliefs, or lose my careers, my home, and essentially my life. Or subject myself to this experimental new drug that has proven to be neither safe or effective as promised, and risk one of the many adverse side effects which can be found spanning over 9 full pages, information only available to the general public because of a federal court order, never once disclosed by any of my employers. And God forbid I did suffer from a debilitating adverse side effect from these experimental new drugs. Who then is accountable? Who would be responsible to provide relief for me and my family? Not the pharmaceutical companies, not my agency, Customs and Border Protection, not the government, and not my doctor. Who then is liable? The answer is no one. No one is liable. All have immunity. I would be on my own with help from no one. Using a little common sense would tell you this is a lose-lose situation. But these are the options that have been forced upon our country over the past 14 months. These truly are the most remarkable options ever offered the American people to date. I know my personal medical and health status better than you do. I can tell you that I am 99.9% safe from serious illness or death from COVID-19. And by not taking this experimental new drug, I can tell you I am 100% safe from any and all adverse side effects or death. I think these odds are pretty damn good. The fact that this is still a discussion is criminal. Politicians holding a gun to the heads of their citizens and forcing them to choose is criminal. Keeping people in constant fear for their livelihoods is criminal. Yet this is the life I have lived for the past 14 months and continue to live in the United States of America, the freest country in the world. I'd like to close with a challenge, or rather an exercise in humanity. Look inside yourselves and understand that your decisions to push policy like this mandate has left thousands of people that did not want to be forced to take an experimental new drug, jobless, homeless, and probably even caused some to take their own lives. Are you proud of that? Don't fool yourselves. This is a fact. This has and is happening. Now look inside yourselves and realize your decision to force people to take these experimental new drugs led to thousands of people suffering from adverse side effects, to include physical and neurological disabilities and even death, with zero help or relief because no one can be held liable. Are you proud of this? Do you enjoy causing pain and suffering to people, or do you justify your actions by telling yourself it's for the greater good? I guess we can chalk up one more atrocity being committed in the name of the greater good. I urge you all to support HB 2316. Help protect individual autonomy for medical procedures, protect personal choice, and protect the people that protect you. I pray that you all find the wisdom and the courage to do what's right, not what is easy. Thank you.